6 p.m. on Tuesday, October 28th. And this is the Finance Committee of the City of Stoughton. I will call us to order. Everybody is here, so we do have a quorum, and I can certify that we are in compliance with open meetings law. No public comment, it appears, for this meeting. So we will move on to communications and presentations. It looks like, Lisa, you are itching to say something.
No real updates on the True by Hilton, except that you received the other letter. We'll continue to investigate options. We've been busy with budget. So no other information to provide at this time.
We do have a meeting with Ford Development Group next week.
Okay, any questions on that? All right, next item is approval of the minutes for 10/14/2025. They are in the packet. I take a motion.
I'd move to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Alder Reeves, second by President Schumacher. Any edits, comments, questions? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? Okay. We have approved the minutes. And the next is reports.
I don't have anything to report on besides the usual. On the agenda is a retirement that was listed last time, but the budget amendment is occurring for September. So that's in the packet right there, and you'll see another portion where part of the journal entry budget amendment wasn't done when Dave retired. So that's part of that budget amendment in there. Otherwise, happy to answer any questions.
We are flying through at record time here. Any questions or anything? All right. And I think the next item is the resolution relating to letter of credit with RHD Properties, LLC for 51 West Development. Looks like this is to allow them to end one of their letters of credit.
I don't know if Director Munz-Pritchard wants to say anything, but I'll just let you know there is 2 letter of credits they've requested. The stormwater on one side has been cleared, so 1 letter of credit is going to be returned. We still have another letter of credit that we will maintain.
Yeah, so there's a separate letter of credit, my understanding, a separate letter of credit for the stormwater on the other portion of the 51 West. So that one is held, and depending on the project and, you know, assessment of the stormwater ponds, if it comes back good, it's like 3 years that we hold it. So we need to nail down where we are in that 3-year process and make sure that they've been getting positive stuff.
Are those things in the 51 West that are waiting until after the 26th roundabout construction that they can't progress into?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know, and you guys probably know more about this than I do because of the history of that, but I know that there was something with the DOT that if one of those lots developed, they would be on the hook for a portion of those roundabouts, and if they don't, so my guess is it's going to sit idle. So the DOT is responsible for the bulk of the improvements over there. This is strictly the stormwater on the 51 West. And I, for some reason, want to say like the last review of that can be done in November. So for that other stormwater pond, you might be seeing this back shortly, but it has to have a passing, otherwise we really need to hold it until we know it's can hold water.
Literally.
Literally. I didn't know if you'd catch that or not.
Any other questions on this? Okay, entertain a motion then to move to council.
Recommend to council.
All right, we have a motion by President Schumacher, second by Councilperson Nino. All in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? All right, we'll recommend to council. Sorry. The next item is an amendment to the 2025 adopted budget for stormwater quality management plan. And I imagine this will be,
Yep, I can take that.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know
that's
if Chris wanted to take it or Lisa.
No, I'm happy to take it. Basically, the project wasn't completed, and what was entered into the budget for carry forward, either it was a typo or just missed in a way. So really, this is just from the original project amount that should have been carried forward into 2025, and this is correcting the budget for that.
All right, that's a good clarification, because when I was looking through it, I was like, wait, what? Strange how they add up exactly right, like,
Yeah, no, it just
Yep.
how it was entered for the budget.
perfect.
So essentially an accounting entry.
Yep.
And this is not technically a finance, but I'm just wondering, do you know who's doing the stormwater quality management plan or when it's supposed to be completed? Is that like an outside vendor?
Yep. Do you know who it is?
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
not
it's probably
critical.
Strand, but right now we have, so it's interesting because like the stormwater management used to fall under my department, but then it's since been moved out to Brett and it's Sue Eddy. And so I know that we're starting some, like, her and I are working together to start kind of like a regimented thing that's sent out every month and kind of going from there. So I can follow up on that too, but I think we're getting a better grasp on it, I feel like.
I'm just curious when you get a chance.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Any other comments? Any motions?
Recommend to council.
Second.
We have a motion by President Schumacher, second by Alder Reeves. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? All right, we'll recommend that to council. And then next item is an appraisal report for land on Williams Drive. I imagine Tim, you
Yeah, I'll
want to
start
talk
with
about
this
that?
one. So, as part of our conversations about future public safety building, you might recall last year, we had put some money in the CIP budget to basically put together a plan for future buildings so we can combine police, fire, and EMS potentially into one building. So we hired a firm to go through that process. Part of that process was site selection options. And this property here is available, and it's on Williams Drive, kind of across the street from Emmy Roth there. There's actually two lots. There's a total of almost 28 acres in the two lots. And we believe that regardless of what we do with the land, whether it's a municipal building for a new public safety building one day, also would be a consideration potentially for Stoughton Utilities building, or it could be business park expansion, or any combination thereof. So we think it would be advantageous to take a look at this piece of property. And I'll talk about it a little bit at the council when we get into the budget, but basically, to make a long story short, what we did is when we went through the CIP recommendations from the committee, we tried to go through and do some purging and update some of the numbers so we could potentially cover at least most of the costs of the land acquisition if the finance and the council decided to go forward with that. So we, as part of the conversation, we figured, well, we need to find out what the property is worth. So we ordered an appraisal, and that's what's in your packet right now. And what we'd be looking to do is to see whether or not the finance committee and council wants us to go ahead and potentially enter into a negotiation with the landowners. And that's why we have the ability to discuss it in closed session. Go ahead.
So prior, if the council and finance committee were to agree that this was a good idea, would a contingency be, because it looks like it'd need to be rezoned, because it's farmland now, preservation, it's, so, and you're probably all aware of that. So that's the first question, would it be contingent on the rezoning? And then also contingent on this, and there's probably other things that I missed, but I see that there's a soil analysis and load-bearing capacity that was recommended in environmental evaluation, so I guess that, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but.
Those would be typically things we would talk about as part of the negotiation and the offer to purchase. The zoning, I think that the land in our comp plan is, if I remember right, was mixed use. So I think we have some flexibility. We'd have to annex the land, and then we would have to rezone it. I don't anticipate any issues. And more than likely, what we would do is, until we're ready to actually develop it, we would continue to lease the land to the farmer that currently is leasing from the property owners until the point where we begin to develop some or all of the property. The reason we like this piece of land is several reasons. One, it's available. Two, it's near our business park. Another one is that we did some analysis with some the GIS mapping. We did heat maps for fire department for our call volume, as well as where our volunteers live, and this location was ranked pretty highly to check all those boxes as the community continues to grow, because we could have access down Williams Drive. We could get on the east side by running down, B to N. We can get down Page Street if we have to. So there's all sorts of reasons why we think this is good property. But you're right, we'd have to make sure that, the soil is what we want it to be, depending on what features we want to have on the building. So, for example, if we wanted to do geothermal, we'd want to maybe perhaps test the soil and see if it would accommodate something like that. Certainly make sure there's no contamination. I wouldn't expect any, since it's been ag all these years, or any other reasons. It could be wetlands, springs. Yeah, it's pretty flat. So those would all be things that we would definitely want to talk about in a potential offer if we get to that point. Anything you want to add, Chris?
No, with it being across the street from the business park, I think it, if we don't end up using it for a safety building, it could be a nice extension. The business park's essentially full at this point. So it's just something to think about, especially with our comp plan coming up too.
And all the other land that is out there has been acquired by M.E. Roth, and our previous conversations with them is they're basically sitting tight on it. They don't want to make it available. So hopefully at some point, they'll develop it themselves. We also have, some potential revenue coming in for a land sale that we're in progress of right now. On a couple acres that will help offset some of the costs. Certainly if Stoughton Utilities decides that that's a good place for their building, potentially we would sell a portion of it to them as well. We're just not far enough in their process to understand where this is gonna rank. You know, they have their own land as well that they'll evaluate for kind of the same types of things.
That was going to be my question, and I know that's a second order question because the first would be the utilities would need to express interest in being at this location. What would happen to that other location? But I know that's a second
Yeah,
order
they have a
concern.
firm that they've hired, and they've done a walkthrough of the current building to understand what their needs are. They haven't gotten to the point where they've specified a number 1 or a number 2 location. At the utilities meeting, I think it was last week, there was some discussion about trying to make that a priority, is the site selection, you know, at kind of the beginning of the process. And then typically what they do from there is they build the buildings. Some of them do tabletops, some of them will use CAD units to incorporate all the different rooms and storage and garage space that they need to accommodate their people and their equipment in their offices.
Did you have anything, Mayor, that you wanted to share that we should go into closed session, or did
Well, I think
anybody on the committee want to?
I think the purpose of the closed session would be to have a conversation. Number 1, do you want to move forward? I think if we go into closed session, there's an assumption we may want to, but what we would like to do is get kind of some sort of guidelines for the city attorney to negotiate the terms and conditions of the offer, a range, I guess I would call it. So that way, as we have conversations, we don't have to keep going back and forth a million times unless we exceed what we're authorized to offer on the property, then we would come back. The appraisal gives us a good idea of what the land around it has been going for. So I think that's a pretty good, you know, at least a starting point in that, you know, give or take a little bit. But I think the purpose of going into closed session would be to talk about the price, some of the other things that Alder Reeves brought up, and anything else that anybody might have in mind. So we really don't want to negotiate in public.
So does anybody want to make the motion, to go into closed session, read the language? It's good practice.
I can,
Otherwise, I can read it too.
got it,
but-
okay.
Okay, all right.
The committee may meet in closed session per state statute 19.85, parent 1, parent E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. The committee may reconvene in an open session to discuss and take action on the subject matter discussed in closed session, and I so move.
Second.
All right, we have the motion by Member Reeves, second by Member Schumacher.
Yeah, roll
Who
call.
does the roll call? Do I do the roll call, or do you do the roll call?
Whoever wants to do it can do it.
I'll do the roll call. So Butler, aye. Schumacher,
Aye.
Neow,
Aye.
Reeves,
Aye.
Doom, Waninger.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous.
And By the railroad track? Oh, yeah. They put like a lots available, but not that particular one.
so it's a little
Well, they owned that. And then, or they owned that the FPG, when they owned that 1 acre that we fought about. So they did own a small little piece in there, and that was a sore spot. But I think we punched
good.
them down enough.
All right, we are back in session, so the last item that we have is future agenda items. So November 11th, we have a big one, adoption of the 2026 budget and tax levy, and a declaration of intent, and we have our items that we've had for date to be determined for a while. Is there anything else that members or staff would like to add? Okay. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
All right, we have the motion adjourned by Brett, second by Adrian. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned.